I've hated cheaters my whole life with a burning passion. Funny how life decided to throw not one, but two lying adulterers my way. But heck, at least I've got something to talk about my whole life and get to make my first ever Reddit post, right? My sister and I are what one may call polar opposites in every possible way. She's 4 years younger than me and has always been spoiled by her parents. Imagine a little girl who has never heard no growing up into the most entitled young woman who believes that she deserves the entire world for no apparent reason. That's my sister for you. She started dating very early, mostly steering straight towards toxic, possessive men who in turn fueled her own toxicity. I can't remember a time after middle school when she wasn't complaining about one guy or the other. To make matters worse, she's very attractive. As you can imagine, this has only fueled her self-obsession and vanity. Compared to her, I can only call myself boring. I went through high school mostly unnoticed, and college was pretty much the same. I met my husband at a work conference, and we had the most normal relationship in marriage. I've been very happy about the way my life has turned out, and in no way do I envy my sister's crazy, volatile lifestyle. She chose not to go to college, and after a series of random temporary jobs, started working as a bartender. That's where she met her current husband. I will honestly never understand what he saw in her, but they went out together and got into the most stable relationship I've ever seen her in. I was surprised and happy, thinking she has finally gotten some sense. Boy, was I wrong, haha. Let me tell you about my sister's wonderful husband now. He's Italian, works in finance, and is quite wealthy. He has always doted on my sister, saying she's a special kind of person. Oh, she's special alright, but not in the way he thought. Now for what actually happened. Around 6 or 7 months ago, I started noticing that my husband was acting weird. I couldn't put my finger on it, but he started going out with his friends way more than he used to. Started listening to very different kinds of music that he used to before, and just started snapping at the tiniest mistakes I made. I didn't want to admit it, but my heart kept telling me that he's seeing someone else. One day, I decided to follow him when he went out to apparently meet a few friends at a bar. To my surprise, he ended up entering the club where my sister works. This was weird because that's really not the kind of place he usually likes. It was also quite early to go to a club in general. More curious than ever, I walked in after him. It was a bit difficult getting past the bouncers, but I told them I wanted to meet my sister and that it's urgent. I showed them a picture of the two of us together and they finally let me in. I walked in to see that the place was almost deserted and went straight to the bar. What I saw next has officially changed my entire life. I saw my husband leaning over the bar and passionately making out with none other than my sister. I'm not exaggerating when I say I almost threw up at the sight of that. First thing I did was quickly take a picture of the two of them. I know my sister more than anyone, and I knew that the first thing she'll do is to deny everything. It took everything in me not to start screaming at the two of them, but I somehow gathered myself and walked out. I made it to my car before having a complete breakdown. After all these years of seeing my sister be totally self-destructive and causing trouble for everyone, my husband has chosen to destroy our marriage for her. After a lot of angry, humiliated tears, I decided to call my brother-in-law. I told him everything and sent him the picture. Gotta say he handled it way better than I did. He said that he had a suspicion that she was seeing someone for a while because she had started to go work earlier and staying longer, and that she had also been excessively affectionate with him, which was very unlike her. So my brother-in-law and I both knew that something was off about our spouses, but even in our wildest suspicions, we could have predicted the truth. Brother and I decided to meet up the next day to discuss our next moves, and that's how we came up with our brilliant revenge plan. My sister and husband won't even know what hit him, haha. The morning after we met, my brother-in-law took me to their family lawyers and we both filed for a divorce. To celebrate, we got drinks, bonding about our cheating spouses, and found an unexpected source of comfort in each other. After that, I called my husband and brother-in-law called my sister, and we asked them individually to meet us at the restaurant we were at. Neither of them knew that this was going to turn into the most delightful little family meetup, haha. My husband was the first to show up. The look on his face when he walked in, looked around, and saw me and my brother-in-law sitting together was simply priceless. I could practically see his mind racing and thinking of every possible worst case scenario. He somehow made his way to our table with the shakiest smile and asked me what was going on. I smiled calmly at him and said he'll know everything soon. After some more waiting, while my husband was practically sweating in cold November weather, my sister walked in. As soon as she saw all of us, her whole face turned pale. She walked over uncertainly and asked what's going on. My brother-in-law and I looked at each other and nodded. Time to execute our plan. I asked her to sit down, and she slid down to the empty spot next to my husband. I kinda wish I could have taken a picture of the two of them then, like deer caught in headlights. My brother-in-law then took my hand and looked seriously at my husband and sister and said, "I'm in love with my name, and we want to be together. We have already filed for divorce, and I want to move to Italy with her." Picture their faces, dear Redditors. Picture their faces. Shock would be one way to describe it. My sister turned tomato red. For a moment, I could see her literally fuming. After blankly staring at us for a few minutes and failing to form coherent sentences, she sprung up from her chair. Looking angrier than I have probably ever seen, she started screaming bloody murder. She was flinging her arms around, screaming at my brother-in-law about how he's a cheating, lying bastard. She almost got physically violent towards my brother-in-law, and my husband had to step in and hold her. She then turned to me and started directing some of the most colorful words one can imagine being said to a woman. It took everything in me not to call her out for her insane hypocrisy. My brother-in-law kept looking at me and telling me to keep my composure. My sister then splashed a glass of water on me and my brother-in-law and stormed out. My husband stood there looking at me. He hadn't said a single word during the entire fiasco. A few minutes after my sister left, he followed her out. My brother-in-law and I looked at each other and just burst out laughing. We asked for towels to dry off the water, ordered a few drinks, and had a great time. I'm loving all your messages, guys. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it. Also, a lot of you have been saying I should get together with my brother-in-law, but there's really nothing going on there, trust me. I think we have developed some sort of sibling type of bond, which is amazing for me, because we all know how my actual sibling is. Speaking of siblings, we did tell my husband and sister that we knew all about their plans. The first thing I did after leaving the hospital was sending my husband the picture I took of him and my sister at the bar. He immediately called me. I picked up, and before he could say anything, I told him I don't have time or energy for his drama. I told him that I will pack his stuff up, and he should collect it ASAP and leave. Thankfully, he didn't try to defend himself. Totally forgot to share my brother-in-law's side of the story. Well, I guess he's not my brother-in-law anymore. Let's just call him Diego now. So Diego knew that getting rid of my sister would not be easy and that she would definitely try to cause a huge scene. We went home from the restaurant, packed a small suitcase to shift to a hotel temporarily, and called my sister. She didn't pick up and then showed up super late at night, drunk out of her senses. The moment she entered the apartment, she started howling and calling Diego out for betraying her. She then started throwing stuff at him, which is when we had to intervene. He told her that he knows everything about her and my husband and that he has filed for divorce. You bet that sobered her up real quick. She started denying everything, and he stopped her and told her not to waste his time. He then told her that he's leaving for a few days, and by the time he comes back, she should be gone. He left before she could say anything. Since then, there has been an avalanche of messages and calls from my sister to both me and Roger, but we've chosen to ignore her. I just had my first divorce hearing today. It's relatively uncomplicated for me because my ex-husband is not causing any trouble. Wish I could say the same for poor Diego. My sister refused to sign the divorce papers for the longest time, and now she's causing him a lot of grief about the alimony and stuff. I really hope things go well for him. This is one of the most hilarious revenge stories I've ever heard. Kudos to you and your brother-in-law for coming up to this in your new alliance. You both sound like awesome people who deserve amazing people in your life. I hope you both get a smooth divorce process and move on with your lives without backstabbing people. I'm so happy to see that you've managed to create a real bond out of something as potentially traumatizing as getting cheated on with your own sister. Love your optimism, but somewhat disappointed that it's all platonic with your brother-in-law. But as long as you're happy. Your revenge plan made me actually laugh out loud. Good luck with the divorce. My birthday has always been something of a sore spot for me, so I very well may be the a-hole here. My 30th birthday was on Monday. Growing up, I was always told we cannot celebrate my birthday on my birthday because it's Halloween, and it would be selfish of me to acknowledge my birthday. Every year, all I have ever wanted was to be able to celebrate with my family on my birthday, and I've expressed this basically every year for the past 10 plus years. In the couple of weeks leading up, my mom and sister kept asking what I wanted to do to celebrate, and kept throwing around different days. All of the days thrown around were the weekend before or the weekend after. Eventually, I suggested this upcoming Thursday because my parents and brother-in-law are both off work on Friday, and I took Friday off, so it wouldn't be a working night for anyone. Everyone agreed, and we made the reservation. Monday night of this week rolled around, and my husband and I were home with our son. We knew we would be well in advance. Our son did not want to go trick-or-treating. It makes me a lot sad because I've been looking forward to trick-or-treating with him since before he was born. But he has no interest in candy and is super shy where it really wouldn't have been a good experience for him. We're really hoping next year he'll be all J's to go. So we're sitting at home and watching a movie, and I get a text from my sister. It's a picture of the whole family hanging out together. I never got an invite, and I almost immediately started crying because all I've ever wanted was to be able to celebrate with my family on Halloween, and I spent my whole life being told that I'd be selfish for asking that of them. But here they are, all together without me. When I said something to my mom and sister about it, they basically told me I'm an a-hole because I never said that I wanted to do something the night of my birthday. I explained that since I've always been told it's not possible and it would be selfish of me, that I didn't ask. They told me it's my own fault for not asking and that I can't just assume, and that I hurt my own feelings and that isn't their problem. So now I'm embarrassed because it was my fault for not saying I wanted to see them on my birthday and hurting my own feelings. We have dinner scheduled for tomorrow night and I don't even want to go. I'm still hurt by the fact they all got together on my birthday and didn't even think to invite me, and I just don't even want to show my face around them. I already felt like they didn't genuinely want to celebrate anyway, and then all this happened and now I feel like absolute shit for being hurt when it's my own fault. So would I be the a-hole for canceling my birthday dinner? I really appreciate all your kind words. A lot of people have told me I should spend future birthdays celebrating with friends. Growing up, I wasn't really allowed to have friendships outside of seeing other kids at school, so this is a department I really struggle in. I've got my best friend since middle school, whom I see maybe twice per year. I've had a lot of problems with being taken advantage of, so it's mostly just my husband, son and I. He also has a bad relationship with his family. Youngest of 5. His parents stopped trying to be parents once he was born. So we have each other. And we also vow to always make sure our son knows how loved he is, especially on his birthday. Not the a-hole, cancel with them and do your own thing with your husband and kid. If they ask, just say you are tired of forcing people to celebrate your birthday. And considering this was a big one, 30 is usually a milestone party, it seems like something special should have been done. You never have to not celebrate your birthday on your birthday again. Your kid doesn't like trick-or-treating, so it's perfect. You can have a party every year and he can still have a good time. Edit to add what I would do since I am super spiteful. Next year go all out, have a huge party, and don't invite them since they have never wanted to give up Halloween for your birthday. Invite everyone except them, post lots of pictures, and enjoy your 31st. Not the a-hole. Honestly, your family sounds like they lack basic empathy. Make your birthday your own celebration. I'd focus more on close friends than family, and perhaps your husband's side of the family in the future. Don't expose yourself and a touchy subject to people who have proven time and time again that they can't be trusted with it. You're not the a-hole if you cancel dinner. I'm so sorry, OP, that your family let you down like this. Happy birthday. Not the a-hole. It's not your fault, and it's your birthday. I wouldn't want to go either. Personally, I'd cancel and have a good time with your husband and son. About 3 months ago, I decided I wanted a weekend away from the city, So I booked a weekend trip to an Airbnb for my BF, my dogs and me. The plan was to take work off Fridays and spend Friday to Sunday at a cabin in the woods. This past weekend, we sat down to make our travel plans for tomorrow, Friday. BF realized that, despite me reminding him 2 to 3 times to take Friday off, he forgot to take the day off from work. He had meetings until noon, which wasn't a huge deal since we could leave right when he was done and get to the cabin right at check-in time. Yesterday, he nonchalantly told me that he had another meeting put on his calendar at 3 p.m., so we couldn't leave until after that. I've already taken Friday off of work, and I was planning on leaving as early as possible to avoid traffic and driving through the woods at night. Since he didn't take the day off or block the afternoon, I told him we can just take 2 cars. I will leave during the day, and he can meet me there when he's done working. This apparently is unacceptable. He refuses to drive up by himself, and the only way he will come is if we drive up together. I told him that was not an option unless he could move his 3 p.m. meeting. Since he can't/won't move his afternoon meeting and won't drive to the cabin by himself, he has decided to stay home, and I am going on the trip alone. Am I the a-hole because I won't wait for him and am instead going on the trip alone? Not the a-hole. You made the plan, reservation and schedule. He was fully aware of this. His lack of planning and preparation are not your concern at this time. You have not uninvited him. You just changed the plan based on his lack of cooperation. If he's upset, remind him that the only task he was to do for this weekend was to book the day off, and he could not do that. You are not going to waste a day of vacation, which has a dollar value, to wait around the house for him. He had no respect for your time, your vacation day, or your plans. You do not need to change the holiday for him. Now the a-hole. He forgot to clear his schedule for this day and has already inconvenienced you and wants to inconvenience you further by making you wait until his 3 p.m. meeting is also done. He can stay home and be a crybaby about it if that's what he wants. Hell, in my opinion, he's lucky you are just going to drive up by yourself and aren't mad at him for forgetting to book the time off to begin with. He had 3 months to prepare. It's not your fault he didn't do that. He's just trying to manipulate you into waiting for him by saying he won't go. I'm sure he will come with you, and if not, just go by yourself. Not the a-hole. You already went far and beyond doing your part. He didn't schedule properly. He didn't help with the planning. He didn't block the afternoon when he realized his mistake. You already did everything and even offered some flexibility to accommodate to his lack of planning. Enjoy the trip on your own and some well-deserved peace of mind.